something new about Southern Oregon Speedway or some driver. So many other guys, so many other fans that have been there for decades that I made sure I talked to and have become great friends. They're not just fans in the stands, have become great friends. I had all that at Willamette too. And to not be there with the people that you've been with for decades and now you're somewhere else, it was tough. What's weird to me is I lost friendships over that situation too.
I know.
And that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
I lost some good friends over that whole situation. Hopefully one day those will be smoothed over and reconciled. But at this point, it's kind of like I left. Some people looked at it as I left. I'm the bad guy. What? There's a whole situation there I'm not even going to talk about on the air. It doesn't need to be talked about. I've said it before. I don't wish anything bad for that track.
Any track, really.
Any track, yeah. I don't wish anything bad. But that whole situation of people, saying that I was the bad guy for leaving and I didn't support the track. There is so much in the background of that situation that if you knew it, you wouldn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really. There was a. That's the word I'm looking for. There was a gamut of emotions that I went through when that deal happened the way that it did. One of them was anger.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so, there was some anger. And a lot of people don't know that whole situation. Okay? There were nights, I've lost a lot of nights of sleep over that deal. You know this. You've watched it. You've been there. There were nights where I was thankful.
Yeah.
Because of what happened the way that it did. All those emotions. And you've watched me. You've watched Sandy. But everything happens for a reason. And I love everybody at Willamette. I do. Those were decade-long friendships, and I'm still friends with 99.9% of those people today. And I'm not going to change that. I don't want that to change is what I'm saying.
Right.
But being at Southern Oregon last year and making all those new friendships and relationships and having fun.
Because it was fun.
Oh, it was a great time. Here's the biggest thing. And I've said this 100 times. You guys know this. I don't know if I've said this publicly on the air. Because I know if I say it, people are going to say, oh, that's a jab. That's a pot shot. You shouldn't say that. But for me, as different as it was going into a place you know nothing about, trying to learn all that stuff quick on the fly, the biggest thing was having a track owner that you can talk with, communicate with, and work with. That made my job so much different than it's ever been. Ever. It's just a different relationship. Yeah. That's and that's not a pot shot. That's not a jab. That's not putting anybody down. That's just the facts. That's just the way it is and was. The way it is now is how it never was at the home track. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You've heard the stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I can say with McCann, in the first month of the season, I communicated and worked more with him in that first month or two than 7 years with the other owner.
Yeah.
what a relief that was. Because here's the thing. Mike McCann has been in motorsports a long, long time. You know this.
Yep.
I know this. I've been in motorsports my entire life. Here's what's funny about all that. All the races that I've been to, all the racing and everything he's done at all the tracks, Mike McCann and I had never, ever spoke until the night we got the deal done for Moxie to go to Southern Oregon. And sitting down and talking with him to get the deal done felt like we were friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's just guys that are on a certain wavelength, you know. It's like, wow, this is cool, you know. I mean, again, I'm not talking bad about anybody. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm not trying to stir the pot or, you know, whatever you want to say. I'm talking facts. Just personal experience is what I'm talking about. The situation there was so different than anything I've ever experienced.
And I'll tell you the thing I learned about Mike this last year too was the consistency in how he runs the show.
How he runs his life.
Man, he exactly how I remembered him from back in the 90s.
See, that's what I've heard, and this is the thing. Cause what I was trying to say earlier was I'd heard you've got horror stories. Everybody's got horror stories when you're talking about a racetrack owner or a promoter, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got, and I'd heard some of those. Some going, oh no, you know. But I'm not going to say, okay, well, so-and-so said this about that guy, so it has to be true. Put it out there. I've learned in racing, you don't believe anything until you see it with your own eyes. Yep. Okay? So far, every single thing he's ever said to me and us has been what it is.
Yep.
Okay? There's been no friction whatsoever. There's been no disagreement. And what's great is personal. I'm talking about me and Mike McCann working together here. With Mike McCann and I, if I disagree with something Mike has to say, or Mike disagrees with something I have to say, great, we disagree. Okay, what else you want to talk about? You know, what else do you think? We've learned from each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been one of those things that actually made the relationship a lot better than I've ever imagined it would be, based upon prior experience. You know? Yeah. Just a really weird season for me, though. Just, you know, being so far from home, doing something completely new, and having it was truly like starting all over again.
Yeah.
But in the end, it worked out great. You know, we still got a lot of friends from home, and made a lot of new friends last year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, and I'm thankful for that. It was you know, I'm thankful to have that because you get to experience something that has been completely different than what you've ever experienced. Okay, now getting used to some of the rules that are different, getting used to a different type of format, getting used to, I mean, everything was different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was. I think at some point I struggled with it. You yourself had things where like, oh man, wait a second, because here's the thing. When you play a game for so long and you get used to a certain set of rules or a certain format and how things are done, and you go somewhere else and you see something happen where in your mind the rule states this,
yeah,
but this track the rule states something different,
yeah,
it was just hard to get used to.
Yeah.
You know?
It didn't take long for the transition, though. I mean, from my friend anyways, only because I was able to take the information, look at the whiteboard, you know, get everything figured out for the lineups and, you know, the scrambles and everything else going on that I wasn't quite used to, mm-hmm. right, on a normal routine basis. Mm-hmm. And then be able to share that with you guys up there because you guys were in the dark a lot of the times.
A lot of the time.
What was going on?
Right.
You know, there wasn't a lot of communication.
Well, because doing the job there is so different than doing the job where you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say it's different, I mean it is totally different. Mm-hmm. From the time you get to the track to the second you get in the booth. Number one, you're not at the track as long because of the drive. It's a 3-hour drive. You're not at the track as long when I get into the booth to go to work. Mm-hmm. Okay? So there's a lot of stuff that happens either before we get there or from the time I leave the pit area to the booth, a lot of stuff has and does change, and that's part of the way it goes with any week at any racetrack. But when you're not there and you're still dealing with everything that's new, and there's a change in the format, there's a change in the program, that's what I'm saying is the team around me, you guys, make me look so much better, because I have no idea what's going on sometimes out there, and you come across the radio, boom, well, now I've got to put it out there. But I try to put it out there for everybody as in real time, so we're all on the same page, and there's no surprise when something else happens later in the program. You get used to, like I said, you get used to a certain flow, used to a certain atmosphere. You go somewhere else, and it was different. Great experience. I hope that this doesn't go, halfway through summer and we only get a few races in. I mean, and that's I'm exaggerating. I mean, who knows?
Hopefully we're exaggerating.
Hopefully, but I'm just saying that's worst case scenario. I don't know. We might not race at all. And again, that's looking at the worst case scenario. But I'm looking forward to that, just because there's so much going on that is unknown with so many other facilities. You know what I mean? It's a challenge, and I love it. I love what I do, because the direction that McCann has that track heading, to be a part of that new, if you want to call it the new era, whatever you want to call it, to be a part of that, it's pretty cool. Yeah. We've had a lot of people appreciate what we do. There's been some people that change is change, and some people don't deal with it well. I understand that. I don't get mad at people. Some people tell us, oh, this and that. They get upset over something that I might have said. And there was some things I said last year that were wrong. That's going to happen. I don't care what track you're at, if it's your home track or not. I mean, mistakes are made. But because you're learning that history, and some people expect you to know it, and I understand that. I totally understand that. I would probably, in some of those situations, feel the same. Yep. But I'm not going to say, oh, well, screw you. That's, I get where they're coming from where I was at to where I am now. I understand it.
I remember when you first started announcing at Lebanon.
Good times. Good times.
Who the hell does this guy think he is? It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
I had a lot of fun. I look back on those days with there's a lot of happy moments there. It was a lot of fun. To be in that booth that you watched for, at the time, 35 years.
Yeah.
To be in that booth where great announcers have sat and called, stuff that you watched. You remember that, to be there now and be that guy that everybody's listening to is it was weird. Your first night, your first year, because you want to say the right stuff, and you want to be accurate, and you've got to learn. It's like driving a race car for the first time, or doing anything for the first time. You've got to learn how to do it. You've got to hone your skills.
Right.
And it's something that never stops. I've listened to good announcers, I've listened to bad announcers, and I'll tell you can learn a lot from both of them. Mm-hmm. I try to pick certain things that announcers have done or that do, and try to work that into my style, which is a lot different than your typical race announcer. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be,
Well, here's the thing that I think has separated you, that I've noticed from probably the past 20 announcers I've heard growing up, is the passion that you have for the sport.
I think that's what makes a great announcer great.
Well, I think
whatever style they use, if you don't have that passion, or you're not having fun, those fans aren't going to either.
No.
They're going to hear that you're not having fun.
But you're probably the biggest fan there. That's the thing, is that I think that's what makes a good announcer is being one of the biggest fans.
Yeah.
There at the track.
You have to. I think you have to. I think that's, if you're just there to be an announcer, you're not going to be any